Now on Coast TV News.
Vying for District 20, after Stell Parker Selby vacated the seat, constituents will hear today from the Democrats hoping to take over leadership. Traveling for the holiday weekend, we'll tell you the best and worst times to hit the road for your 4th of July plans. Racing to pass spending bill, GOP holdouts stall votes as President Trump and Democrats battle to sway reluctant lawmakers.
We're finally drying out today with lots of sunshine expected. Great weather heading into the 4th of July. Abundant sunshine, lower humidity, and typical summer temperatures. Forecast details coming up.
This is Coast TV News Today.
Good morning, I'm Elisa Weber. Matt Pensick has the day off. Thank you for joining us during our 6 o'clock hour. It is July 3rd, and Bob just said some great things in his headline. He said abundant sunshine, great weather. Bob, this is what we want to hear heading into 4th of July. You listened to us on Monday when Matt and I asked for good weather. Thank you.
I know. I filled the order that you and Matt put in, so there you go. We're getting rid of the bad weather. Still a little muggy out there this morning and today, but really good heading into the 4th. And a little cooler than it has been the last couple of mornings. We're in the upper 60s and low 70s out the door. Now, the dew point is almost matching the actual temperature, so it's still a little muggy. We could be seeing areas of fog out there, but not nearly as oppressive as it has been. As the winds are turning to the west, seeing a lot of green blips. There's no precipitation. We're looking at mostly clear skies, and there's a front that's trying to push through. It's just kind of getting hung up on Delmarva. Eventually, we'll get a nudge later today. There's a stronger front to the north. That could bring storms later today, especially north and northeast of Philadelphia. Otherwise, we're looking at temperatures rising into the 80s mid-morning. By noon, upper 80s. Still a little on the muggy side, but not as bad. And then 90 away from the coast. And I think mainly 80s at the beaches, and a beautiful evening on the way. Riding the ferry, looking good today. Pretty smooth trip with light winds and sunshine and temperatures warming through the 80s.
Thank you, Bob. Our top story this half hour, Democrats vying for the currently vacant District 20 seat will have a chance to speak to constituents at a public forum. This is the area of District 20. It encompasses Lewes on the east side of the district, over to Milton and Harbison on the west side. Those areas are home to over 23,000 registered voters. That seat is now vacant after Stell Parker Selby resigned after missing every single day in legislative session this year. That public forum is taking place today at the Lewes Public Library. According to the Delaware 20th Representative District Democratic Party Committee, there are 5 people participating. That event runs from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. and is open to all registered Democrats. It's important to note a writ of election for that special election to fill the vacant seat has not yet been filed, so there are no candidates right now. However, people participating in tonight's forum include Alana Berry, the executive director of the Delaware Center for Justice. She says she is focused on helping families thrive. Next is Lewes Councilman Joe Elder. While he did not respond to our request for comment, his biography lists multiple degrees. He was a teacher, professor, and administrator. Milton Councilwoman Randy Meredith says if she is elected, she aims to improve infrastructure and address affordable housing. Keith Steck is an Army veteran who says his activism addresses water environmental issues and overdevelopment. And the 5th participant, Ruby Keeler Schaefer, is the first Democrat to put her name in the seat for that vacated Stell Parker Selby spot. Schaefer filed as a Democratic candidate for the 20th Representative District House seat in the 2026 election. As a lifelong Delawarean, Schaefer lives in Lewes and owns a small business. She began her public service career with the Delaware Department of State Planning and later worked with the Division of Soil and Water at DENREC.
Representation is very important for the district. There are many issues to be addressed. There are many problems to search for solutions, and I am the candidate that will work very hard to do that.
And politicians tell Coast TV News that a special election for District 20 is set to take place this summer. And the Sussex County Republican Party officially named Nikki Miller as their candidate for an expected special election in District 20. Miller already filed for the 2026 race. This is Miller's second attempt at the seat. She lost to former Representative Parker Selby by just 275 votes in 2024. Miller told Coast TV she hopes the experience she gained from past campaigns will better her chances in a special election.
When I was principal and when I'm in administrator role, I care about constituents, right? that's just going to be bigger now. So my responsive to the constituents, being that voice for them, not only when we're voting on things, but being there to support them in other ways.
Candidates can officially file for the special election once that writ is issued, for which we are still waiting. And so how did we get here? Well, it was last month that Democratic Representative Stell Parker Selby resigned from her position. The resignation comes after Parker Selby was absent all 6 months of the current legislative session. And for months, CoastTV was trying to get answers for the people of the 20th District. In the letter, Parker Selby confirmed that in December she suffered, quote, a serious medical emergency. Some voters we spoke with in Milton expressed sympathy, while others say they still have unanswered questions about how we got to this point and what will happen from here. After refusing to answer interview questions from CoastTV in the past few months, Delaware Governor Matt Myers said this about Parker Selby's resignation. Quote, Stell reminds us all what true public service means through her passionate advocacy for civil rights, education, healthcare, and the well-being of Delaware families, end quote. And Speaker of the House, Melissa Minor Brown, paid tribute to Stell Parker Selby, acknowledging how Parker Selby broke barriers as the first Black representative from Sussex County, also writing, quote, we will all miss her voice and calm presence in our chamber, end quote. Key takeaways from all of this: while we still await the writ of election, both sides of the aisle are preparing to fill that seat. House Speaker Melissa Minor Brown can issue a writ of election up to 10 days after the District 20 seat becomes vacant. Once that happens, then the date of the special election would be finalized. It has to be within 30 to 35 days of the writ of elections being issued. And for more information on what happens next and an in-depth look at the possible candidates for that special election, you can head to CoastTV.com. We are now taking a live look at the Bay Bridge in Maryland. Not seeing too many cars on this roadway right now. That could be a different story later today. We expect many of our friends from DC and Baltimore to drive over this bridge to spend their Independence holiday here on the coast. And here's the scene in Newcastle County, Interstate 95 and Route 1. It's a lot busier than we'd last checked half hour. This big corridor that brings our friends from Wilmington and Philadelphia to the beaches. Drivers heading to the Chesapeake Bay Bridge are getting a heads up on the best and worst times to travel. The Maryland State Highway Administration says traffic should be normal right now through the 4th, but the agency says avoid using the bridge Saturday and Sunday between the hours of 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. The State Highway Administration is stopping non-emergency lane closures from July 3rd to the early morning on Monday. They'll also have extra patrols in busy areas to quickly clear broken down cars and help with crash cleanup. Drivers hitting the road this 4th of July weekend may not have as much pain at the pump this year. According to AAA, the average price of gas in Delaware is $3.19 per gallon. In Maryland, it's $3.24, and in Virginia, it's $3.10. This is not stray too far from the national average of $3.17. That's down $3.49 per gallon last year. AAA says a record-setting 61.6 million people are expected to travel by car this 4th of July weekend. And we have you covered for events happening to celebrate the 4th of July holiday. Downtown Milford is hosting a special First Friday. Officials say people can expect vendors, yard games, food trucks at Bicentennial Park from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Salisbury says the fireworks show will kick off Friday at James M. Bennett High School. That event will start at 6 p.m. and the show begins at 9:15. And in Ocean City, there are 2 locations to view fireworks. That's at Caroline Street Stage and Uptown and Northside Park. The events start at 8 o'clock with music, and then the sky will light up at 9:30. And those fireworks do mean closures in some spots of OC, including the soccer field and walking path on the northwest side of Northside Park. A lot of streets turn into no parking areas starting at 2 p.m. on Friday. The inlet parking lot is open, but it will be $6 an hour on the 4th. The massive mixed-use plan called Cool Spring Crossing was back in front of the Sussex County Planning and Zoning Commission on Wednesday. The county gave the first green light recommending to approve the project with a handful of conditions that will go to the county council. Cool Spring Crossing would go on Route 9 and Cool Spring Road. The area includes more than 1,900 housing units spread across 7 villages, plus a YMCA, a grocery store, restaurants, a hotel, theater, and more. The recommendations still must go to the county council for final approval. In Delaware, the Education Information Bill is headed to Governor Matt Meyer's desk. House Bill 29, sponsored by Brian Shoup of Milford, would require the Delaware Department of Education to make its annual school performance data reports more accessible online. It also adds new requirements like listing career pathways offered at high schools and including data on low-income students and English language learners. Happening today, the Delaware Hispanic Commission has sent a letter to Governor Meyer requesting he veto Senate Bill 63. If signed into law, that bill would prohibit an employer from improperly classifying an employee as an independent contractor. Sponsors say it's needed to stop companies from dodging labor laws. But in this letter to the governor, the commission says it puts too much pressure on general contractors and could push out small Hispanic-owned businesses that rely on subcontracting work. And we are now taking a live look at Washington, D.C. House Republicans are racing to pass the president's massive spending bill before the July 4th holiday. The legislation appearing to overcome opposition from a group of GOP holdouts who are holding up that process. As NBC's Alice Barr shows us, after overcoming a key procedural hurdle, debate is now underway before a vote on the final passage.
Passed the one big, beautiful bill.
Republicans grinding push to pass President Trump's massive tax and spending bill hitting a hitch in the House, where GOP holdouts held up a procedural vote for hours overnight before finally voting to move ahead. House Speaker Mike Johnson fielding calls from President Trump all night.
And said, who else needs to have a discussion? I'm ready to get on the phone.
The president posting after midnight, what are the Republicans waiting for? What are you trying to prove? MAGA is not happy and it's costing you votes. Earlier in the day, he met with holdout Republicans at the White House looking to ease concerns over the bill's spending, adding substantially to the deficit.
I think we got some good information from the president.
Speaker Johnson saying he wants to avoid ping-ponging the bill with the Senate so the House can't make any changes, even though conservatives don't like Senate adjustments to clean energy credits and the Medicaid overhaul. While moderate Brian Fitzpatrick was ultimately the only Republican voting no on the procedural step, along with all Democrats, who slammed federal aid cuts projected to cost more than 11 million Americans their health insurance.
The largest cut to health care in our history, the largest transfer of wealth from working families to the billionaire class.
The extraordinary things in this bill are so important for the American people.
GOP leaders adamant the bill's key components, extending the Trump tax cuts while funding defense and deportations. And the president, who wants it all done, will prove too popular for Republicans to turn down. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
We are just getting started this morning on CoastTV News Today. We still have a lot more news to get to. Coming up, 'tis the season. Now that the weather is warm, spotted lanternflies are out and about, and we'll tell you why environmentalists say to squash the bug. Also, preventing tragedies, we'll show you a demo about how hot cars get in the summertime. But first, flavor meets future. Meet one Sussex County business owner serving up meals and motivation to rebuild his community. All that and more as CoastTV News Today continues.
We don't get to choose what we're born into, but we do get to choose how we use those experiences. That's the mindset for one man in Sussex County, a businessman. As Coast TV's Emma Aiken shows us in today's Coastal Connections, he turns pain into positivity.
Cooking up cheesesteaks. It's a lifestyle for Gary Shirey, who owns Bub's Grub's food truck. But things used to be a lot different.
My dad went to jail for murder when I was 6 years old.
Dysfunctional is the word Shirey used to describe his childhood.
I thank God every day that I'm still alive. You know, the heroin epidemic is killing people.
Shirey struggled with a heroin addiction himself and ultimately ended up behind bars. That's where he says he hit rock bottom. But committed to breaking the cycle, Shirey vowed to give his kids a better childhood than he had. So, in 2019, he bought a food truck, and that was the start of Bub's Grubs.
So if I used to get high and spend all that money getting high, I could spend that money to feed kids.
Now he does, feeding communities not just cheesesteaks, but motivation. and he can proudly say he's someone his kids are proud of.
My son can go into school and say, my daddy owns this truck.
Shirey says his change started with taking accountability, and while he'll never forget his past.
And November 29th will be 9 years that I haven't had a needle in my arm. 9 years.
He's focused on feeding his future. For Coastal Connections, I'm Emma Aiken.
The time is now 6:19 and we are taking a live look outside at Salisbury. And Bob, no storms today. We see the sun coming up and you're going to tell people how bright that sun actually is going to be today.
Very bright. You know, that sun angle is still very high, Elisa. Summer solstice not too long ago. So the UV index is almost in the extreme range, very high. We've got 10s today through the 4th of July, right through the weekend. It does drop a little bit on Monday. Looks like I've got 2 Mondays there. So Sunday 10, Monday 7, as we could see some clouds and maybe some showers. Make sure you have the SPF 30 plus with the 10s and midday shade, limit time outdoors, and avoid the sun from late morning into early afternoon. Looking great for the fireworks tomorrow night. Looking at temperatures falling through the 70s, clear skies, light winds. It'll be just about perfect for those as we go into Friday evening. Temperatures now 60s to around 70 in Bridgeville, Georgetown, Millsboro at 70. 73 Rehoboth, 73 in Lewes, and we've got dew point temperatures that are close to the actual temperature, so it's still a little muggy, maybe some areas of patchy fog, so just watch it if you're driving to work this morning as we're looking at light winds, and we saw some blips of green. That's not rain, just some interference on the radar. We're looking at mostly clear skies as a cold front is trying to move through, and I think it will get a nudge and move through as we go through the morning hours, and then there's a stronger front now moving in through Michigan into western New York, and that could trigger some storms later today near Philly and maybe central Jersey, but I think they'll fizzle out by the time they get here. Otherwise, high pressure building in for the 4th. And we're watching a system off the southeast coast that could gain tropical characteristics with time and maybe move up the coast. We'll watch that. Otherwise, we're looking great today through the weekend. A beautiful 4th of July. Lower humidity, temperatures in the 80s to near 90. Watch for a little bit of fog. Here's Futurecast mid-morning already into the low 80s, upper 80s by noon, and right around 90 or low 90s away from the coast later on today. A little cooler at the beaches. And then going through this evening, we'll see that next cold front move through. I think we're just looking at clouds. Any kind of storminess, I think, remains to our north as we're cooling down into the 60s and low 70s tomorrow morning. And for the 4th of July, looking great. Late morning 70s, low 80s, and then we're into the mid 80s in the afternoon with very comfortable humidity levels. And then we're looking at temperatures cooling down into Friday evening, I should say, and then into Saturday morning. Look at this, as cool as 59 in Delmar. So very comfortable conditions as we go into Saturday morning, as we're still a little on the humid side today. And then we're comfortable, I think, Friday and Saturday. And then that humidity shoots up again early next week, as that system I was talking about could graze us with some rain and wind on Monday. We'll be watching that for sure. Otherwise, we're looking at 89 in Harrington today, Georgetown 89, Laurel 87, upper 80s from Easton to Vienna, mostly sunny skies. 91 in Salisbury, 87 in Chincoteague and Ocean City. Paul Day have a 7-day forecast. Looking good through the 4th of July holiday weekend with upper 80s. The humidity creeping up into early next week, and maybe some storms by Monday and Tuesday, and temperatures in the upper 80s.
Thank you, Bob. As summer is getting into full swing on Delmarva, the Delaware Office of Highway Safety is raising awareness about the dangers of heat stroke. OHS hosted an event this week at the Dover DMV to educate families on child passenger safety and how quickly a parked car can reach dangerous temperatures. With hot days ahead, officials say it's crucial to be careful.
As you can see, the temperature can increase in a very short amount of time. It can raise 20 degrees in 10 minutes to make those conditions very unsafe for children in cars.
And if you missed that event, the next one is set for Wednesday, August 20th from 1 to 3 p.m. at the Georgetown DMV. Up next on Coast TV News today, 'tis the season for lanternflies. We'll tell you why officials say if you see them, squash them. Don't go anywhere. You may have seen them, swatted them, or squashed them. We're talking about spotted lanternflies. The invasive species don't bite or sting, but they suck the sugar out of trees, leaving them weak. And if you see them, environmental agencies say kill them.
So you might see that little black bug with white spots, or you might see a red bug with white spots. Same bug, just different stages. And then in a few weeks, those will transition to the adult stage where they grow wings.
And the Delaware Department of Agriculture says kill any lanternflies you see and scrape off their egg masses if you see them on trees. And calling all cool community cats and the neighbors who care for them, the Brandywine Valley SPCA says appointments are available to spay, neuter, and vaccinate outdoor cats. You can bring up to 5 cats and it's $10 per cat. And Bob, we've said it, the temperatures today are warm, but the weather looks good and clear. We got those storms out before a big weekend for the coast.
We did, yeah, just as the doctor ordered, right? Or as you and Matt ordered, I should say.
Same thing, yeah.
No, looking good at the beach. Make sure you have the sunscreen. UV index very high, bordering on extreme. Assateague and Chincoteague are warming into the mid-80s, maybe a little cooler in Assateague. Waves only 1 to 2 feet, and the rip current threat is low. Warming into the mid-80s for Fenwick Island, maybe a few clouds, a little cooler in Ocean City with lower 80s. On the Bayside, 90 today in Cambridge, 87 in Crisfield, and then we go into the 4th of July, looking beautiful both locations with 80s, and that continues into Saturday, and I think it continues into Sunday as well. I'll have much more on your Independence Day holiday forecast coming up in the next half hour.
After the break on Coast TV News today, murder trial terminated. What happens now that the suspect in the 2022 murder of 4 University of Idaho students has accepted a plea deal? And while we await a writ of election for a special election in District 20, a possible Republican candidate aims to garner support. And Democrats seek District 20. We'll give you a look at the people participating in a forum today in Lewes. All that and more as Coast TV News Today continues.
Now on Coast TV News.
Vying for District 20, after Stella Parker Selby vacated the seat, constituents will hear today from the Democrats hoping to take over leadership. Traveling for the holiday weekend, we'll tell you the best and worst times to hit the road for your 4th of July plans. Racing to pass spending bill, GOP holdouts stall votes as President Trump and Democrats battle to sway reluctant lawmakers.
We're finally drying out today with lots of sunshine expected. Great weather heading into the 4th of July. Abundant sunshine, lower humidity, and typical summer temperatures. Forecast details coming up.
This is Coast TV News Today.
Good morning, I'm Lisa Weber. Matt Pensick has the day off. It is Thursday, July 3rd, and I'm thinking if people are not working today, they're probably getting up soon and heading to the beach. Bob, today is going to be a beautiful beach day, but just make sure you pack a lot of water and sunscreen.
Oh yes, those are 2 items you will definitely need, Lisa. Good morning to you. And it's one of the cooler mornings we've seen in some time. We're starting out in the 60s and low 70s, 71 Dagsboro, 69 Redden. At the coast, 73 Bethany Beach, and up to Lewes, 73. At dew point, temperatures still pretty high, almost to the actual temperature. So that means we're still seeing some humidity, maybe a little bit of fog as the winds are turning to the west. And we're looking at mostly clear skies right now, just a few clouds out there. A cold front is trying to move through. It's been kind of sitting over the top of us the last 24 hours, but I think it will get a nudge to the east as we go through the day, and then drier air will filter in. There is a stronger front now moving into western New York. That will drop down, and that could bring some storms, I think, maybe in the Philly area into New Jersey later on this evening and tonight, but I think they'll fizzle out before they get to us. So here's Futurecast this morning. Watch for areas of fog, otherwise warming into the low 80s by noon, upper 80s, and I think we're looking at 90s widespread away from the coast, from Millsboro to Salisbury and Seaford, with 80s and close to 90 in Lewes as well, and a warm, typical summer evening on the way. And if you have to tidy up the lawn before the 4th, looking good, not only today, but for the 4th of July as well. And I think that nice weather for the outdoor chores continues into the upcoming weekend. Much more on your holiday weekend forecast coming up in a little bit.
Thank you, Bob. Our top story this half hour, Democrats vying for the currently vacant District 20 seat will have a chance to speak to constituents at a public forum. That area encompasses Lewes on the east side of the district over to Milton and Harbison on the west side. It's home to over 23,000 registered voters. The seat is now vacant after Stell Parker Selby resigned after missing every single day in the legislative session this year. That public forum is taking place today at the Lewes Public Library. According to the Delaware 20th Representative District Democratic Party Committee, there are 5 people participating. That event will run from 6:30 to 8:30 and is open to all registered Democrats. And it's important to note a writ of election for that special election to fill that vacancy has not yet been filed, so there are no candidates right now. However, people participating in today's forum include Alana Berry, the executive director of the Delaware Center for Justice. She says she is focused on helping families thrive. Next is Lewes Councilman Joe Elder. While he did not respond to our request for comment, his biography lists multiple degrees as a teacher, professor, and administrator. Milton Councilwoman Randy Meredith says if she is elected, she aims to improve infrastructure and address affordable housing. Keith Steck is an Army veteran who says his activism addresses water, environmental issues, and overdevelopment. The 5th participant is Ruby Keeler-Schaefer. She is the first Democrat to file for the 20th Representative District House seat in the 2026 election. She lives in Lewes and owns a small business. And the Sussex County Republican Party officially named Nikki Miller as their candidate for an expected special election in District 20. Miller already filed for the 2026 race, and this is her second attempt at the seat. Miller lost to former Representative Parker Selby by just 275 votes in 2024. Miller told CoastTV she hopes the experience she gained from past campaigns will better her chances in a special election. While we still await the writ of election, both sides of the aisle are preparing to fill that seat. House Speaker Melissa Minor Brown can issue a writ of election up to 10 days after the District 20 seat becomes vacant. Once that happens, then the date of that special election would be finalized. It has to be within 30 to 35 days of the writ of election being issued. And we are now taking a live look outside at the Bay Bridge this morning in Maryland. We expect to see many of our friends from DC and Baltimore drive over that bridge to spend their Independence Day holiday here with us. We see a couple cars this morning, nothing too crazy right now. But here's a look at I-95 in Newcastle County, another highway expected to see an influx of drivers these next few days as people head to the coast for the holiday weekend. And drivers heading to the Chesapeake Bay Bridge are getting a heads up on the best and the worst times to travel. The Maryland State Highway Administration says traffic should be normal right now through the 4th, but the agency says avoid using that bridge Saturday and Sunday between the hours of 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. The State Highway Administration is stopping non-emergency lane closures from July 3rd to early Monday morning. They'll also have extra patrols in busy areas to quickly clear broken down cars and help with crash cleanup. This just in, House Speaker Mike Johnson says the House is set to hold a final floor vote on the president's budget bill this morning. This is after GOP holdouts ended long statements last night and voted to allow the past procedural hurdles. As Amy Kiley shows us, what happens next could shape the future of Medicaid, border security, food stamps, and some taxes.
Look forward to moving it forward.
It's do or die time for lawmakers who want to meet President Donald Trump's deadline for his sweeping budget bill. He wants to sign it by tomorrow, but that depends on whether House Republicans can pass it in time. GOP leaders praise the bill's spending cuts, an extension of trillions of dollars in tax breaks. The legislation also contains billions for immigrant detentions and Trump's border wall.
And we're going to do right by the American people. This is going to be a great thing for the country.
Democrats say they don't want to reduce funding for Medicaid and food stamps. They also point to analysis showing the wealthiest Americans get the most money from the bill's tax breaks. Without Democrat support, Republicans could only spare 3 votes. Procedural stalemates overnight suggest the party is struggling to unify.
Mr. Speaker, my understanding is that House Republicans have kept this vote open longer than any other Congress in the history of the House of Representatives.
Most reluctant Republicans say they worry the bill could add trillions to the national debt. Some have expressed concerns about cuts to Medicaid. That, as Democrats were calling the unexpected GOP vote in 2017. that stopped the repeal of the Affordable Care Act.
All we need are 4 Republicans to have John McCain level courage and stand up in defense of the health care of the American people.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
The suspect in the 2022 murder of 4 University of Idaho students is now pleading guilty. Brian Koberger changed his plea in a hearing Wednesday and admitted to the first-degree murders of Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogen, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin, as well as felony burglary charges.
Did you, on November 13th, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, kill and murder Madison Mogen, a human being?
Yes.
Kill and murder Kaylee Gonzalez, a human being?
Yes.
Kill and murder Xana Kernodle, a human being?
Yes.
Did you kill and murder Ethan Chapin, a human being?
Yes.
And with the guilty plea, the 30-year-old will avoid the death penalty in exchange for a life sentence and waiving his right to appeal. And there's still more news to get to this morning on Coast TV News Today. Coming up, social media managing. We'll tell you about the new rules for children in Virginia. And the Phillies hosted the Padres for a doubleheader. Find out how Philadelphia's long day turned out. Stay with us on Coast TV News Today.
6:41 on our Thursday morning. Beautiful shot in Cambridge. Look at the wispy clouds reflecting on the water. 72 there, and we're in the upper 60s and low 70s all across the area. The coolest morning we've seen in some time. It's still on the muggy side. Dew points in the 60s and low 70s will dry out as we go through the day. We're seeing some of those wispy clouds. Otherwise, a cold front trying to push through. It's having a hard time, but will eventually. There's a stronger front to our north. That could trigger some storms to our north as we go through this evening. Do watch for areas of fog, inland areas, but it'll quickly burn off, I think, by about 8 or 9 o'clock. And then the PM commute, a hot car, well, watch out for that. Otherwise, sunny and hot, 80s to around 90 degrees.
Thank you, Bob. New this morning, construction is underway on a major upgrade to US 13 truck weigh and inspection station in Delaware. That's one of Maryland's oldest truck inspection sites. You can see that area right here. It's along US 13 between Mallard Drive and Winter Boulevard. According to the Maryland Department of Transportation, work includes new truck height detectors, an LED signal display, and a modern deep pit scale with updated computer systems. That project will also upgrade traffic barriers and lighting. Drivers should expect delays Monday, July 7th, as the Maryland State Highway Administration begins repairing 2 bridges in Salisbury. Work will impact parts of US 50 and Main Street over the Wicomico River. You can see that area right here on your screen. MDOT says all work is set to begin at 7 a.m., weather permitting. The agency says all construction is expected to be done by May of 2026.
Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
The Phillies hosted the Padres for a doubleheader yesterday, and the 2 games could not have gone more differently. In Game 1, Philadelphia fell behind 6-0, and its comeback attempt fell short. San Diego eked out a 6-4 win, but let's take a look at what Game 2 had in store. Let's skip right ahead to the 4th inning. No score yet, 1 on, and Jackson Merrill chops one off. Christopher Sanchez through the hole for a single. Fernando Tatis Jr. comes in to score. The Padres take a 1-0 lead. In the bottom of the 4th inning, same score until Max Kepler takes Dylan Cease deep for a 2-run home run, his 10th bomb of the season. The Phillies go up 2-1, their first lead of either game that day. 5th inning, still 2-1 until Brandon Marsh blasts off Cease for a solo shot, his 3rd dinger of the season. The Phillies go up 3-1. Later in the inning, Kyle Schwarber pops it up. He's trying to add to the lead, but Jose Iglesias chases down the ball and makes the catch somehow, some way. Diving, sliding, goes backhanded. I don't really think he needed to, but he gets the style points. He gets the highlight. He gets the out. What he didn't get is the win because Christopher Sanchez settled in for a great day on the mound. 7 innings, 7 strikeouts, 5-1 win for the Phillies. That'll be all for sports. Have a great rest of your day.
If you are having a rough week, you can cheer up with a weekly dose of local good news from Coast TV with personal features, fun things to do each weekend, and more. You can sign up right now for free at coasttv.com and get your weekly dose of joy directly to your inbox on Friday.
Beautiful shot of ocean view on the gutter helmet cam, seeing some wispy clouds, 73 degrees, and we'll continue to dry out as far as the humidity goes as the cold front finally pushes through today, and then great weather into the 4th of July and then into the rest of the weekend, including your fireworks as well. I'll take a look at that forecast coming up in 2 minutes. Stay tuned.
Time is now 6:47, and we are taking a live look outside at Laurel this morning. And Bob, on a lot of our cameras, we have seen the sunshine. We did not see that the past couple of days. So that is a good sight. Yes. But we do need to talk about the big story. It's 4th of July Day weekend, and we also have fireworks. We need good weather for that.
I know, and the weather is cooperating. We're getting all the rain and bad weather out before the 4th of July, and now we're starting to quiet things down, so I think we're looking great as we go into your Friday. We're looking at temperatures by afternoon in the mid-80s, dry, beautiful conditions for the cookouts, outdoor activities, and looking great into the evening hours for the fireworks, just about perfect, with basically no wind and temperatures falling through the 70s. Very comfortable conditions with clear skies as we go into tomorrow night. And right now it's 60s and low 70s. The coolest morning we've had in a while. 69 in Salisbury, 70 in Millsboro, 73 at Bethany Beach. Dew point temperature still close to the actual temperature, so it's still a little muggy, and there could be some pockets of fog inland areas very early this morning for the next hour or two, so watch out for that. Otherwise, the wind's starting to blow out of the west. We're trying to get a cold front through. We have high wispy clouds in place right now, and that front is pretty close to us. It's been like back and forth the past 24 hours, and I think eventually we'll get that nudge offshore, and then we'll start to dry out a little more during the day. And then there's another front to the north. This one's pretty potent, moving through Michigan into western New York, and it's already got some storms, and that could trigger some storms around Philly and maybe central and southern Jersey. But I think it'll run out of gas as far as the storms go by the time it gets to us. But there is some cooler air behind this, and that is the air for the 4th of July. Meantime, across the southeast coast, there's a system trying to organize here that could become tropical in nature and maybe sneak up the coast heading into early next week. We'll be watching that. But today through the weekend, beautiful through the 4th of July weekend with lower humidity. And once again, some areas of fog this morning. Otherwise, by noon, we're into the upper 80s, lower 90s away from the coast this afternoon, with 80s and 90s at the beaches. And then as we go into this evening, we'll see that front coming through. I think the storm stayed to the north, just some clouds with it through the overnight. And then into Friday morning, 60s and 70s. And then into Friday morning around 10 o'clock, looking great. 70s and low 80s. And by 3 p.m., just beautiful for your outdoor activities on the 4th of July. 80s inland, some 70s at the coast. And then once again, looking great for the fireworks around 9 p.m. Temperatures in the 70s. And then delightful as we go into Saturday morning. Some areas may be dipping into the upper 50s, but lower 60s inland. That'll be really nice. Muggy meter, it is still kind of humid out there right now, but we will start to get into the comfy range Friday and Saturday. But then the humidity comes back as we go into early next week, as we could see a system coming up the coast in some fashion on Monday. Maybe some rain and maybe some gusty winds, but we'll certainly keep an eye on that. Highs today, 89 in Seaford, 89 in Georgetown, Lewes around 87, 84 in Rehoboth Beach with mostly sunny skies, Easton 89, 89 in Vienna for the Eastern Shore. And then Salisbury 91, 89 in Pocomoke City, and 87 in Chincoteague and Ocean City. Paul Davis 7-day forecast, drier, a little cooler into Friday the 4th, 87. 87 Saturday as well, and then we are looking at Sunday being really nice, 89, and then maybe some storms as we head into early next week, Monday and Tuesday. Maybe that system coming up the coast. We'll watch that with temperatures in the upper 80s. Then it dries out, typical summer warmth heading into Wednesday.
Thank you, Bob. New restrictions aimed at curbing social media use for people under 16 are now in effect in Virginia. The law requiring social media companies to set default time limits on 1 hour per day for minors is now in effect. Governor Glenn Youngkin signed that bill back in May. However, those new restrictions will not be enforced until January 1st, giving social media platforms time to add the updates. But Pam Groff, an elementary school teacher and mother, says she thinks the responsibility lies with parents to impart good technology habits.
I think part of the problem is that parents themselves model being on social media far more than they should as well. And if parents are concerned about their kids being on social media, then they should look at their own usage, and they should look at how families need to look at how they're interacting with each other.
And parents will also have the option to add or take away time from their child's social media accounts in Virginia. And the time is now 6:52, and we are going to check in with our coastal pet of the day. And today's coastal pet of the day is another puppy ready for the holiday weekend. On your screen right now is Benny. As you can see, Benny cannot wait for this weekend, just like all of us. Benny was submitted to us by Tammy in Seaford, and we want to see more of your pets on Delmarva. Send us photos and tell us what makes them so special. You can take a look at your screen, scan the QR code at the top of your screen to submit your furry friends to Coast TV News. Then watch weekdays from 5 to 7 a.m. to see all of the pets we feature. It is 6:55, and it's time for the things you need to know before you go. We have you covered for events happening to celebrate the 4th of July holiday. Downtown Milford is hosting a special First Friday. Officials say people can expect vendors, yard games, and food trucks at Bicentennial Park from 5 to 9 p.m. Salisbury says the fireworks show kicks off Friday at James M. Bennett High School. Officials say gates open at 6 p.m. and the show begins at 9. And in Ocean City, there are 2 locations to view fireworks. That's at Caroline Street Stage in Uptown and Northside Park. The events start at 8 p.m. with music, and then the sky lights up at 9:30. You may have seen them, swatted them, or squashed them. We're talking about spotted lanternflies, the invasive species. Don't bite or sting, but they suck the sugar out of trees, leaving them weak. If you see them, environmental agencies say kill them. Drivers should expect delays Monday, July 7th, as the Maryland State Highway Administration begins repairing 2 bridges in Salisbury. Work will impact parts of US 50 and Main Street over the Wicomico River. You can see that area on your screen right now. MDOT says all work is set to begin at 7 a.m., weather permitting. The agency says all construction is expected to be done by May of 2026. As summer is getting into full swing on Delmarva, the Delaware Office of Highway Safety is raising awareness about the dangers of heat stroke. OHS hosted an event this week at the Dover DMV to educate families on child passenger safety and how quickly a parked car can reach dangerous temperatures. With hot days ahead, officials say it's crucial to be careful. The time is now 6:56, and we're going to take another look at our forecast before you head out the door. Bob, it looks like a good day for traveling and going to the beach.
Absolutely, Elisa. It's going to be a warm one, though, but the humidity held in check for sure as we're looking at temperatures warming through the 80s, close to 90 this afternoon. Have the sunscreen and stay hydrated. Feels like temperatures close to the actual temperature, maybe a degree or 2 shy of that. Paul Davis 10-day forecast looking great into the 4th of July. 87 looking good for the fireworks as well. Into the weekend, upper 80s, cool nights as well, and then some showers and storms into early next week. Maybe a storm coming up the coast. We'll be watching that. Upper 80s, and then looks like it cools down at the end of next week with a few more showers and storms.
Thank you, Bob, and thank you for joining us here for Coast TV News Today. The Today Show is coming up next at 7 a.m. Then we'll be back for Coast TV Midday at 11. Have a great day, everyone.